If you ever felt like an outcast or like you don't belong, this video is for you. Because I felt like that. I feel like that. And I remember very well the first time that it happened clearly for me. I was in 5th grade. I was in a class of 10 kids. And the bell rang, the class finished, we had a little break. So I ran to the bathroom, came back, and all the other kids were sitting on the floor looking at something and talking with a lot of excitement. And I went there and I looked at it, and they were reading some pop music magazine, and they were on a page with, I want to say Britney Spears, but it may have been someone completely different. And I remember sort of standing there and hearing everyone talk about whoever it was with excitement and joy and admiration and, sort of envy and like with sort of... And I remember sort of looking at them, and at that moment, I felt completely disconnected. I felt like I was from another world. I felt like I was on a foreign planet, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on. And from that moment on, that feeling sort of grew more and more, and became clearer and clearer as, my natural choices just pulled me in directions that weren't the directions that most people went to. And I was often told and asked, why do you want to be marginal? Why do you want to be different? Why do you put so much effort in being unique and being special? And every time I'd look at people and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm not trying to do anything here. I wish everybody felt the same as I feel. I wish that everybody liked the stuff that I like, because my life would be so much easier. But it just so happens that what I liked was often referred to as being a loner, and seen as kind of antisocial, because I like spending time on my own. I like reading, drawing, playing with Legos, reading. I remember reading a lot of animal kind of books about animals, and yeah, and I always feel bad about that, about feeling like I didn't belong, like I wasn't part of that whole thing, and that I always had this disconnect, and I spent so much time trying to connect and trying to just fit in the freaking thing, I cut my hair, I bought a suit, I started dressing and behaving like a normal, serious person, and I tried to fit in and do what people do and go to the gym, and it just sucked. And I'm not saying that in that it's bad to do these things. And I looked at other people doing them and seeing them enjoy it and being like, well, it's great for them, but I just don't like it. It's just not fun for me. And then when I arrived in Morocco, and I was in a little palm tree village, in the middle of nowhere, where literally you could see in the sand, a line where there were palm trees and then there's nothing, just sand. And an hour drive, any direction before you hit the next village. And nothing in between, nothing. And that was my first time sort of having a chance of spending a lot of time in a place like that where I was kind of alone. I was still staying with friends, but I had that little bit of a time alone. And then when I arrived in Costa Rica, I started spending a lot of time alone, like just on my own, and spending a lot of time in nature. And the more I did that, the more I felt disconnected from that world that I tried so hard to connect to and to belong to. And there was definitely some sort of fear about that disconnection, about being like, well, am I just becoming a hermit? And just sort of being antisocial and like all of that. And then I realized eventually that as I got disconnected from all that, I got so much more connected to all this. I certainly felt a lot more connected to myself and my body. When I started doing sensations meditation, the sensations in your body, I thought that I was feeling my body, but then a year later, after living here for a year and meditating regularly and doing different sort of meditation exercises, I eventually noticed that when I was meditating and sensing my body, I wasn't actually seeing my body and sensing my body. I was having an image of a body in my mind, and I was seeing that and relating that to me. But I wasn't actually feeling my body. I was feeling my body through that image, through the idea of what my body is and my body looks like. And so slowly I started reconnecting to the point where I started actually feeling my body. And as I started actually feeling my body when I meditated and inside of my body, I noticed that the body that I was feeling was so much smaller than my real body. And I wasn't able to sense my whole body as a whole, just like a faint, small silhouette of it. And I've started feeling so much more connected to nature and to life and to animals, just seeing animals just die in front of me, like, and trying to rescue this little squirrel that my cat brought half dead, and then seeing him die overnight, but then also seeing life burst everywhere. Walking barefoot, having the time to watch sunsets and to look at the clouds and the sky, and seeing nature grow around me and taking the time to see it. All of that has made me feel so much more connected. So all of that has made me feel like I belong so much more. Like I'm not an outcast, like I'm not being weird or strange. And this is not necessarily the way that everyone connects and that everyone finds their connection. But it definitely is for me. And my invitation to anyone out there who feels like they don't belong is to continue following your invisible path. Because the more you follow that path and you follow the desire to do what is true to you, there's a point where everything starts to make sense, where everything falls back in place. Because that's what I've experienced and that's what I've seen happen for many people around me, friends, mentors, clients. And I've also gotten very far away from the idea of being a loner, because since my first Vipassana meditation retreat, where I spent 10 days there in silence, sort of completely on my own, I realized that actually, for the first time in my life, I had spent time with myself. And I spent all my life spending time with other people and never actually taken the time to spend time with me. And so, my final wish for you is to have the great time with the person you spend time with, whoever that be.